Charleston, West Virginia, Virginia. Charleston is the capital and most populous city of the U.S. state of West Virginia. Located at the confluence of the Elk and Kanawha rivers, the city had a population of 51,400 at the 2010 census and an estimated population of 46,536 in 2019. The Charleston metropolitan area as a whole had an estimated 208,089 residents in 2019. Charleston is the center of government, commerce, and industry for Kanawha County, of which it is the county seat. Early industries important to Charleston included salt and the first natural gas well. Later, coal became central to economic prosperity in the city and the surrounding area. Today, trade, utilities, government, medicine, and education play central roles in the city's economy. The first permanent settlement, Fort Lee, was built in 1788. In 1791, Daniel Boone was a member of the Kanawha County Assembly. Charleston is the home of the Charleston Dirty Birds of the Atlantic League of Professional Baseball and the annual 15-mile 24 km Charleston distance run. Kanaha Airport and the University of Charleston are in the city. West Virginia State University is in the local area, as well as West Virginia University and Marshall University satellite campuses. History. Timeline. 1794 Virginia General Assembly designated 40 acres of George Clendenin's land as Charlestown. 1805 Salt Tub Mill begins operating. 1808 Farmers Repository newspaper begins publication. 1815 Ruffner Mansion built. 1818 Charlestown renamed Charleston. Mercer Academy established. 1819 Spectator newspaper begins publication. 1841 Kanawha Lyceum active approximate date. 1850 Population 1050. 1862 Battle of Charleston fought near town during the American Civil War. 1863 June 20 Charleston becomes part of new U.S. state of West Virginia. 1870 City of Charleston Incorporated. Charleston designated West Virginia state capital. 1872 Kanawha Chronicle newspaper begins publication. 1875 state capital moves from Charleston to Wheeling. 1885 state capital moves from Wheeling back to Charleston. State Capitol building expanded. 1890 West Virginia Historical and Antiquarian Society headquartered in Charleston. Population 6,742. 1891 Merleau Opera House in business. West Virginia Colored Institute founded near Charleston. 1892 Capital City Commercial College founded. 1897 Sacred Heart Church built. 1900 Chamber of Commerce organized. 1905 State Bureau of Archives and History headquartered in Charleston. 1906 Mason School of Music founded. 1909 Charleston Public Library opens. Stalnaker Drug Store in business. 1910 Population 22,996. 1913 Chemical Manufactory begins operating. 1916 Libby Owens Ford Glass Manufactory and Charleston High School built. 1917 Owens Bottle Company Manufactory in business in Kanawha City. 1919 Town of South Charleston Incorporated near Charleston. 1920 Charleston Daily Mail newspaper in publication. 1921 Charleston City Hall built. 1922 Kearse Theater in business. 1923 Sacred Heart High School established. 1925 West Virginia Governor's Mansion built. 1927 WCHS Radio begins broadcasting. Garnet Library Public Library branch opens. Union Carbide manufacturer buys Blaine Island in South Charleston, near city of Charleston. 1929 Charleston Municipal Airport established. 1930 Population 60,408. 1932 State Capitol building rebuilt. 1934 Kanawha County Public Library established. 1935 Maurice Harvey College relocates to Charleston. 1939 Charleston Municipal Auditorium built. WGKV Radio begins broadcasting. State Theater in business. 1940 Stonewall Jackson High School built. 1941 Kanaha Boulevard constructed. Approximate date. 1947 Kanaha Airport, now known as Yeager Airport, begins operating. 1954 WCHS-TV television begins broadcasting. 1957 W-Boy TV television begins broadcasting. 1959 Charleston Civic Center, now known as the Charleston Coliseum and Convention Center, opens. 1960 population 85,796. 1961 July 19 Kanawha River flood. Sunrise Art Museum established. 1978 Maurice Harvey College renamed University of Charleston. 1983 Charleston Town Center Shopping Mall in business. 1998 City website online. Approximate date. 2003 Clay Center for the Arts and Sciences of West Virginia opens. 2005 West Virginia Music Hall of Fame established. 2010 population 51,400. 2015 Charleston Gazette Mail newspaper is formed by the merger of the Charleston Gazette and Charleston Daily Mail. Beginnings. After the American Revolutionary War, pioneers began making their way out from the early settlements. Many slowly migrated into the western part of Virginia. Capitalizing on its many resources made Charleston an important part of Virginia and West Virginia history. Today, Charleston is the largest city in the state and the state capital. Charleston's history goes back to the 18th century. Thomas Bullitt was deeded 1250 acres 5 km2 of land near the mouth of the Elk River in 1773. It was inherited by his brother, Cuthbert Bullitt, upon his death in 1778, and sold to Colonel George Clendenin in 1786. The first permanent settlement, Fort Lee, was built in 1787 by Colonel Savannah Clendenin and his company of Virginia Rangers. This structure occupied the area that is now the intersection of Brooks Street and Kanawha Boulevard. Historical conjecture indicates that Charleston is named after Colonel Clendenin's father, Charles. Charlestown was later shortened to Charleston to avoid confusion with another Charlestown in eastern West Virginia, which was named after George Washington's brother Charles. 6 years later, the Virginia General Assembly officially established Charleston. On the 40 acres 160,000 into that made up the town in 1794, 35 people inhabited 7 houses. Charleston is part of Kanawha County. The origin of the word Kanawha, pronounced Kanahwa, Kanawha, derives from the region's Iroquoian dialects meaning waterway or canoe way, implying the metaphor transport way in the local language. It was and is the name of the river. The grammar of the hard H sound soon dropped out as new arrivals of various European languages developed West Virginia. The phrase has been a matter of register sociolinguistics. A 2-story jail was the first county structure to be built, with the first floor literally dug into the bank of the Kanawha River. Daniel Boone, who was commissioned a lieutenant colonel of the Kanawha County Militia, was elected to serve in 1791 in the Virginia House of Delegates. As told in historical accounts, Boone walked all the way to Richmond, the state capital. Industrial growth. By the early 19th century, salt brines were discovered along the Kanawha River, and the first salt well was drilled in 1806. This created a prosperous time and great economic growth for the area. By 1808, 1,250 pounds of salt were being produced a day. An area adjacent to Charleston, Kanawha Salines, now Malden, would become the top salt producer in the world. In 1818, the Kanawha Salt Company, the first trust in the United States, went into operation. Captain James Wilson, while drilling for salt, struck the first natural gas well in 1815. It was drilled at the site that is now the junction of Brooks Street and Kanawha Boulevard near the present-day State Capitol complex. In 1817, coal was first discovered and gradually became used as the fuel for the salt works. The Kanawha salt industry declined in importance after 1861, until the onset of World War I brought a demand for chemical products. The chemicals needed were chlorine and sodium hydroxide, which could be made from salt brine. Political growth, coal growth, coal growth, coal growth, coal growth, coal growth. The town continued to grow until the Civil War began in 1861. After a popular vote, the state of Virginia seceded from the Union. However, Charleston, like much of Western Virginia, was divided in loyalty between the Union and the Confederacy. On September 13, 1862, the Union and Confederate armies clashed in the Battle of Charleston. The Confederates won, but they could not hold the area for long. The Union soldiers returned in force just 6 weeks later and retook the city. They would occupy Charleston throughout the remainder of the war. The northern hold on Charleston and most of the western part of Virginia created a problem for Abraham Lincoln. Virginia had seceded from the Union, but now the western part was largely under Union control. Lincoln solved the problem by issuing a presidential proclamation declaring West Virginia a separate state. He then announced that West Virginia had returned to the Union, and on June 20, 1863, the U.S. Congress recognized West Virginia as the 35th state. In addition to the dispute over slavery, the North wanted to separate West Virginia from the rest of the state for economic reasons. The heavy industries in the North, particularly the steel business of the upper Ohio River region, were dependent on coal from the Western Virginia mines. Federal units from Ohio marched into Western Virginia quite early in the war solely to capture the coal mines and control transportation in the area. Although a state now existed, choosing a state capital location proved to be difficult. For several years, the West Virginia capital intermittently traveled between Wheeling and Charleston. In 1877, however, the citizens voted on a permanent location. Charleston received 41,243 votes, Clarksburg received 29,442, and Martinsburg received 8,046. Wheeling was not considered. Charleston won, and 8 years later the first state capitol building was opened there. After a fire in 1921, a hastily built structure was opened, but it, too, burned down in 1927. However, a Capitol Building Commission, created by the legislature in 1921, authorized construction of the present Capitol. Architect Cass Gilbert designed the buff-colored Indiana limestone structure in the Italian Renaissance style, with a final cost of just under $10 million. After the 3 stages of construction were completed, Governor William G. Conley dedicated the West Virginia State Capitol on June 20, 1932. 20th century. Charleston became the center of state government. Natural resources, such as coal and natural gas along with railroad expansion, also contributed to growth. New industries such as chemical, glass, timber, and steel migrated to the state, attracted by the area's natural resources. There was a huge amount of new construction in Charleston. A number of those buildings, including churches and office buildings, still stand in the heart of downtown along and bordering Capitol Street. During World War II, the first and largest styrene butadiene plant in the U.S. opened in nearby Institute, providing a replacement for rubber to the war effort. After the war ended, Charleston was on the brink of some significant construction. One of the first during this period was Kanaha Airport, now Yeager Airport, named after General Chuck Yeager, which was perhaps one of the most phenomenal engineering accomplishments of its time. Built in 1947, the construction encompassed clearing 360 acres, 1.5 km on 3 mountaintops, and moving more than 9 million cubic yards of earth. The Charleston Civic Center opened in 1959. Charleston began to be integrated into the interstate highway system in the 1960s when three major interstate systems, IMINIS 64, IMINIS 77, and IMINIS 79, were designated, all converging in Charleston. Modern development. In 1983, the Charleston Town Center opened its doors downtown. It was the largest urban-based mall east of the Mississippi River, featuring 3 stories of shops and eateries. Downtown revitalization began in earnest in the late 1980s. Funds were set aside for streetscaping as Capitol and Quarrier Streets saw new building facades, trees along the streets, and brick walkways installed. For a time, the opening of the Charleston Town Center Mall had a somewhat negative impact on the main streets of downtown Charleston, as many businesses closed and relocated into the mall. For a while, the downtown business district outside of the mall had a ghost town feel to it which took several years to turn around. Today, Capitol Street, Hale Street, and other bordering streets are an eclectic mixture of restaurants, shops, businesses, and services that many call the centerpiece of downtown. The new Robert C. Byatt Federal Building, Haddad Riverfront Park, and Capitol Market are just a few new developments that have helped growth in the downtown area during the 1990s. Charleston also became known as one of the premier healthcare spots in the state. Along with ambitious thinking, plans for even new entertainment and business venues kept Charleston moving along at a steady pace. In 1983, West Virginia Public Radio launched a live performance radio program statewide called Mountain Stage. What began as a live, monthly statewide broadcast went on to national distribution in 1986. Now in its 34th season, Mountain Stage, with Larry Gross records 26 two-hour programs each year, mostly at the Cultural Center Theater in Charleston, and is heard on over 100 radio stations through National Public Radio and around the world on the Voice of America satellite service. 2003 marked the opening of the Clay Center for the Arts and Sciences. The center includes the Mayer Foundation Performance Hall, the Walker Theater, the Avampato Discovery Museum, and the Juliet Art Museum. Also on site is the Electric Sky Theater, a 175-seat combination planetarium, and dome-screen cinema. Movies shown at the theater include educational large-format 70 mm presentations and are often seen in similar OmniMax theaters. Planetarium shows are staged as a combination of pre-recorded and live presentations. Many festivals and events were also incorporated into the calendar, including Multifest, Vandalia Festival, a July 4th celebration with fireworks at Haddad Riverfront Park, and the already popular Sternwheel Regatta, which was founded in 1970, provided a festive atmosphere for residents to enjoy. In 2005, Festive All Charleston was established and has grown into a 10-day festival offering a variety of performances, events, and exhibits in music, dance, theater, visual arts, and other entertainments. Charleston has one central agency for its economic development efforts, the Charleston Area Alliance. The alliance works with local public officials and the private sector to build the economy of the region and revitalize its downtown. Charleston also has an economic and community development organization focused on the East End and West Side urban neighborhood business districts, Charleston Main Streets. Geography. Charleston is located in west central Kanawha County at 38.58 and 81.380 W 38.349,497, 81.633,294. It lies within the ecoregion of the Western Allegheny Plateau. According to the United States Census Bureau, the city has a total area of 32.66 square miles, 84.59 km2, of which 31.52 square miles, 81.64 km2 are land, and 1.14 square miles, 2.95 km2 are water. The city lies at the intersection of Interstates 79, 77, 64, and also where the Kanawha and Elk rivers meet. Charleston is about 117 miles 188 km southeast of Chillicothe, Ohio, 315 miles 507 km west of Richmond, Virginia, 228 miles 367 km southwest of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 247 miles 398 km east of Louisville, Kentucky. Communities within Charleston. The following are neighborhoods and communities within the city limits. Suburbs. The following communities are within the Greater Charleston area. Climate. Charleston has a four-season humid subtropical climate (COP) and CFA with continental climate (DFA) elements. Especially in winter, Charleston's average temperatures are warmer than the rest of the state, due to the city being west of the higher elevations. Spring is the most unpredictable season, and spring-like weather usually arrives in late March or early April. From the beginning of March through early May, temperatures can vary considerably, and it is not unusual at this time for day-to-day temperature fluctuations to exceed 20 deg F11 deg C. Temperatures warm up considerably in late May, with warm summer-like days. Summer is warm to hot, with 23 days of highs at or above 90 deg F32 deg C, sometimes reaching 95 deg F35 deg C, often accompanied by high humidity. Autumn features crisp evenings that warm quickly to mild to warm afternoons. Winters are chilly, with a January daily average of 34.4 deg F1.3 deg C, and with a mean of 16 days with maxima at or below the freezing mark. Snowfall generally occurs from late November to early April, with the heaviest period being January and February. However, major snowstorms of more than 10 inches 25 cm are rare. The area averages about 3.5 inches 89 mm of precipitation each month. Thunderstorms are frequent during the late spring and throughout the summer, and occasionally they can be quite severe, producing the rare tornado. Record temperatures have ranged from 17 deg F27 deg C on December 30, 1917 to 108 deg F42 deg C on August 6, 1918 and July 4, 1931. However, decades can pass between temperatures of 100 deg F37.8 deg C or hotter, and the last such instance was July 8, 2012. The record cold maximum is 4 deg F16 deg C on December 22, 1989, while conversely the record warm minimum is 84 deg F29 deg C on July 29, 1924. The hardness zone is Savina. Government. Charleston functions under the mayor-council form of city government. The mayor is the designated chief executive officer of the city with the duty to see that all of the laws and ordinances of the city are enforced. The mayor gives general supervision over all executive departments, offices, and agencies of the city government, and is the presiding officer of the council and a voting member thereof. The mayor, Amy Goodwin, was sworn in Monday, January 7, 2019, and is the first female mayor in the history of Charleston. Charleston also has a city manager who is appointed by the mayor and approved by the council. The city manager has supervision and control of the executive work and management of the heads of all departments under his or her control as directed by the mayor, makes all contracts for labor and supplies, and generally has the responsibility for all of the business and administrative work of the city. The Charleston City Council has 26 members. 20 of the council members are elected from a specific ward within the city, and an additional 6 members are elected by the city at large. General elections for mayor, city council, and other city officers take place in May every 4 years. Primary elections are held in March. The most recent election was in May 2019. Demographics. 2010 census. As of the census of 2010, there were 51,400 people, 23,453 households, and 12,587 families residing in the city. The population density was 1630.7 inhabitants per square mile, 629.6/km2. There were 26,205 housing units at an average density of 831.4 per square mile, 321.0/km2. The racial makeup of the city was 78.4% white, 15.5% African American, 0.2% Native American, 2.3% Asian, 0.3% from other races, and 3.2% from two or more races. Hispanic or Latino of any race were 1.4% of the population. There were 23,453 households, of which 24.6% had children under the age of 18 living with them, 35.6% were married couples living together, 14.1% had a female householder with no husband present, 3.9% had a male householder with no wife present, and 39.4% of all households were made up of individuals, and 13.5% had someone living alone who was 65 years of age or older. The average household size was 2.11, and the average family size was 2.83. The median age in the city was 41.7 years. 20.1% of residents were under the age of 18, 9% were between the ages of 18 and 24, 24.9% were from 25 to 44, 29.9% were from 45 to 64, and 16.1% were 65 years of age or older. The gender makeup of the city was 47.6% male and 52.4% female. 2000 census. As of the census of 2000, there were 53,421 people, 24,505 households, 13,624 families residing in the city. The population density was 1690.4 people per square mile, 652.7/km2. There were 27,131 housing units at an average density of 858.5 per square mile, 331.5/km2. The racial makeup of the city was 80.63% white, 15.7% Black or African American, 0.24% Native American, 0.81% of the population were Hispanics or Latinos of any race. The five most common ancestries were German 12.4%, English 11.6%, American 11.4%, Irish 10.6%, and Italian 3.9%. There were 24,005 households, out of which 23.7% had children under the age of 18 living with them, 38.9% were married couples living together, 13.5% had a female householder with no husband present, and 44.4% were non-families. 38.9% of all households were made up of individuals, and 14.5% had someone living alone who was 65 years of age or older. The average household size was 2.11, and the average family size was 2.82. The age distribution was 20.7% under 18, 8.4% from 18 to 24, 27.9% from 25 to 44, 25.3% from 45 to 64, and 17.6% who were 65 or older. The median age was 41 years. For every 100 females, there were 87.3 males. For every 100 females aged 18 and over, there were 83.7 males. The median income for a household in the city was $34,009, and the median income for a family was $47,975. Males had a median income of $38,257 versus $26,671 for females. The per capita income for the city was $26,017. About 12.7% of families and 16.7% of the population were below the poverty line, including 24.5% of those under age 18 and 11.3% of those age 65 or over. Education. The city of Charleston has numerous schools that are part of Kanawha County Schools. The three high schools are Capitol High School, a public school in the community of Meadowbrook. It was established by the consolidation of Charleston High School and Stonewall Jackson High School. It opened in 1989. George Washington High School, a public school in the South Hills neighborhood. It opened in 1964. Charleston Catholic High School, a Catholic school at the eastern edge of the city's downtown. It opened in 1923. Former high schools. Charleston High School, across the street from Camp General Hospital. It was founded in 1916 and closed in 1989. Stonewall Jackson High School, on the west side. It was founded in 1940 and converted to a middle school in 1989 after Capitol High School opened. Garnett High School was a historic African American high school. Middle schools. West Side Middle School on the west side, John Adams Middle School in South Hills, Horace Mann Middle School in Kanawha City. In July 2020, Stonewall Jackson Middle School was renamed West Side Middle School. Elementary schools. Chamberlain Elementary School, Edgewood Elementary School, Elk Elementary School, Grandview Elementary School, Halls Elementary School, Kanawha City Elementary School, Kenny Elementary School, Piedmont Elementary School, Overbrook Elementary School, Ruffner Elementary School, Shoals Elementary School, Weberwood Elementary School, Bible Center School Private Christian / non-denominational, Charleston Montessori School Private Non-Sectarian, Mountaineer Montessori School Private Non-Sectarian, Sacred Heart School Private Catholic, St. Agnes School Private Catholic, Montrose Elementary School, Mary C. Snow West Side Elementary School. Colleges and universities. Charleston hosts a branch campus of West Virginia University that serves as a clinical campus for the university's medical and dental schools. Students at either school must complete their classwork at the main campus in Morgantown but can complete their clinical rotations at hospitals in Morgantown, the Eastern Panhandle, or Charleston. Students from West Virginia School of Osteopathic Medicine may also complete their clinical rotations at the branch campus after completing their first 2 academic years at the main campus in Lewisburg. The city is also home to a 1,000-student private college, the University of Charleston, formerly Maurice Harvey College. The college is on McCorkle Avenue along the banks of the Kanaha River, directly across from the Capitol in the community of South Ruffner. Within the immediate area are West Virginia State University and Institute, and the South Charleston campus of both the Bridge Valley Community and Technical College and of Marshall University. The region is also home to the Charleston branch of the Robert C. Bryant Institute for Advanced Flexible Manufacturing, an independent program administered by Marshall University providing access to computer numerical control CNC equipment for businesses. Bridge Valley Community and Technical College also has a campus in Montgomery. Charleston was also home to West Virginia Junior College's Charleston campus until late 2020, when it relocated to Cross Lanes. WV Junior College is accredited by the Accrediting Council for Independent Colleges and Schools to award diplomas and associate degrees. Part of the Kanawha Valley for almost 115 years, WV Junior College was originally established as Capital City Commercial College on September 1, 1892. The college was originally established to train students in secretarial and business skills and has undergone changes in location and curriculum through the years. Hospitals. Camp Charleston Area Medical Center, a complex of hospitals throughout the city. Camp Memorial Hospital in the Kanawha City neighborhood. Camp General Hospital in eastern downtown. Camp Women and Children's Hospital on the banks of the Elk River in downtown. Thomas Health is a complex of hospitals and health care centers in the Charleston area. St. Francis Hospital downtown. Thomas Memorial Hospital, South Charleston. Highland Hospital, Kanawha City, is a behavioral health facility. Economy. Notable companies headquartered in the Charleston area. Appalachian Power, owned by American Electric Power of Columbus, Ohio. Charleston Newspapers, Gestamp Automotion, Matric Mid-Atlantic Technology, Research and Innovation Center, South Charleston, Pewter's Biscuit World, Nitro, United Bank. Notable companies founded in Charleston. Shoney's Restaurants, Hex/L.A. Joe Discount Department Stores. Economic development. The City of Charleston recognizes the Charleston Area Alliance as its economic development organization. Culture. Annual events and fairs. Charleston is home to numerous annual events and fairs that take place throughout the city, from the banks of the Kanawha River to the Capitol grounds. The West Virginia Dance Festival, held between April 25 and 30, features dance students from across the state that attend classes and workshops in ballet, jazz, and modern dance. At the finale, the students perform in the West Virginia State Theater. These are free to the public. Beginning in 1982, Symphony Sunday, held annually, usually the first weekend in June, is a full day of music, food, and family fun, culminating in a free performance by the West Virginia Symphony Orchestra and a fireworks display following. Throughout the day, local performing community dance and music ensembles present a series of their own selected pieces, with the final performance being by the West Virginia Symphony Orchestra. The local performing community dance and music ensembles that perform for Symphony Sunday include the Kanawha Valley Ringers, the West Virginia Kickers, the Charleston Metro Band, the West Virginia Youth Symphony, the Mountain State Brass Band, and the Kanawha Valley Community Band. The now defunct Charleston Neophonic Orchestra has also performed at the event. The NPR program Mountain Stage was founded in Charleston in 1983. The live performance music program, produced by West Virginia Public Broadcasting and heard on The Voice of America and via NPR Music Records episodes regularly at the Culture Center Theater on the West Virginia State Capitol grounds. Twice a year, in late April and again in early November, the West Virginia International Film Festival, where many domestic and international films are shown that range from full-length feature films, shorts, documentaries, animation, and student films. Charleston hosts the annual Gazette-Mail Kanawha County Majorette and Band Festival for the 8 public high schools in Kanawha County. The festival began in 1947 and has continued on as an annual tradition. The festival is held at the University of Charleston Stadium at Laidley Field in downtown Charleston. It is the state's oldest music festival. On Memorial Day weekend, the Vandalia Gathering is held on the grounds of the state capitol. Thousands of visitors each year enjoy traditional music, art, dance, stories, crafts, and food that stems from the uniqueness of West Virginia's mountain culture. Since 2005, Festive All has provided the Charleston area with cultural and artistic events beginning on June 20, West Virginia Day, and including dance, theater, and music. Festive All provides local artists a valuable chance to display their works and help get others interested in and involved with the local artistic community. Highlights include an art fair on Capitol Street and local bands playing live music at stages set up throughout downtown, as well as a wine and jazz festival on the campus of the University of Charleston featuring local and nationally known jazz artists and showcasing the products of West Virginia vineyards. The Charleston Sternwheel Regatta, founded in 1970, is a former annual event that was held on Labor Day weekend of each year. The event had carnival-style rides and attractions, and live music from local and nationally known bands. It was held on the Kanawha Boulevard by Haddad Riverfront Park on the Kanawha River. The event started the Wednesday before Labor Day weekend and ended the Sunday of Labor Day weekend with a fireworks show on Sunday evening. Due to political differences between local Sternwheel owners and factions of city government, Sternwheel attendance declined in recent years. Once a promising regatta rivaling tall stacks in Cincinnati, it was discontinued after the 2008 festival season. Charleston, home to the largest population of privately owned sternwheel vessels in the United States, is the only city in the region not home to an annual river festival. Historical structures and museums. Charleston possesses a number of older buildings that represent a variety of historical architectural styles. About 50 places in Charleston are included on the National Register of Historic Places. A segment of the East End consisting of several blocks of both Virginia and Courier Streets, encompassing an area of nearly a full square mile, has been officially designated as a historical neighborhood. This residential neighborhood has many houses dating from the late 19th and early 20th century, as well as a few Art Deco-style apartment buildings dating from the 1920s and early 30s. Downtown Charleston is home to several commercial buildings that are between 80 and 115 years old, including such notable structures as the Security Building corner of Virginia and Capitol Street, 405 Capitol Street, the former Daniel Boone Hotel, the Union Building at the southern end of Capitol Street, the Kanawha County Courthouse, the Public Library. Also of note are several historic churches grouped closely together in a neighborhood just to the east of downtown: Basilica of the Co-Cathedral of the Sacred Heart, one of the two cathedrals of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston, First Presbyterian Church, Kanawha United Presbyterian Church, St. John's Episcopal Church, Charleston. Additional historic buildings can be found throughout the city, particularly in the broader East End, the West Side, and Kanawha City. Some of these buildings include Avampato Discovery Museum, part of the Clay Center for the Arts and Sciences; Sunrise Museum, now part of the Clay Center for the Arts and Sciences; West Virginia State Museum; South Charleston Museum, South Charleston; St. George Orthodox Cathedral, founded in 1892; St. Mark's United Methodist Church; the Capitol Theater; Women's Club of Charleston. Parks and outdoor attractions. University of Charleston Stadium at Labley Field, used for football, soccer, track, and festivals. Appalachian Power Park Stadium of the West Virginia Power. Cato Park, Charleston's largest municipal park, including a golf course, Olympic-size swimming pool, and picnic areas. Coonskin Park includes swimming pool, boathouse, clubhouse with dining facilities, tennis courts, putt-putt golf, an 18-hole par-3 golf course, driving range, and fishing lake. Stonebomb Soccer Field and Amphitheater inside the park is the home of West Virginia United Soccer Team. Daniel Boone Park, a 4-acre 16,000 m2 park with a boat ramp, fishing and picnic facilities. Danner Meadow Park. Kanawha State Forest, a 9,300-acre 38 km2 forest, including 46 campsites in the community of Loudondale. Magic Island, an area at the junction of the Elk River and the Kanawha River near Kanawha Boulevard. Davis Park. Haddad Riverfront Park. Ruffner Park. Joplin Park, South Charleston. Sports. The West Virginia United is a soccer team that plays its home games at Stonebomb Stadium in Charleston. The team plays in the USL League Two USL2, the fourth tier of the American soccer pyramid. Shopping. In 1983, the Charleston Town Center became the largest downtown mall east of the Mississippi River. The Town Center Mall is a 3-story shopping and dining facility with 130 specialty stores. The closure of Macy's in 2019 meant J.C. Penney would be the sole remaining commercial anchor pad in the mall after Sears closed in 2017. The fourth and final anchor pad is currently a branch for Encova Insurance. It had previously been occupied by various other insurance companies since Montgomery Ward left the mall in 2000. In May 2021, it was announced that Whole Group, based out of Augusta, GA, will add the town center to its roster of malls in the eastern U.S. and will work towards redeveloping the mall. There are 5 major shopping plazas in Charleston, 2 in the Kanawha City neighborhood, the shops at Kanawha and Kanawha Landing, along with 3 in the Southridge area, divided between Charleston and South Charleston Southridge Center, Dudley Farms Plaza, and the shops at Trace Fork. Major stores include the shops at Kanawha Plaza, Southridge Center Plaza, Dudley Farms Plaza, and the shops at Trace Fork Plaza. Notable people. Media. Print. Charleston's only major newspaper is the Charleston Gazette-Mail. It was formerly 2 separate newspapers, the Morning Charleston Gazette and Afternoon Daily Mail. Radio. Charleston has a total of 11 radio stations, AM and FM, licensed in the city. Most of the stations are owned either by the West Virginia Radio Corporation or by the Bristol Broadcasting Company. Asterisk represents radio stations that are licensed to the city of Charleston. Television. The Charleston-Huntington TV market is the second largest television market in terms of area east of the Mississippi River and 64th largest in terms of households in the U.S., serving counties in central West Virginia, eastern Kentucky, and southern Ohio. There are 4 VHF and 10 UHF television stations in the market. Infrastructure. Airports. Heger Airport is West Virginia's largest airport, serving more than twice as many passengers as all other WV airports combined. It is 2 miles 3 km north of Interstate 64 and Interstate 77, accessible via WV 114. It is also home to the McLaughlin Air National Guard Base. Rail. Amtrak, the national passenger rail service, provides tri-weekly service to Charleston via the Cardinal routes. The Amtrak station is on the south side of the Kanawha River at 350 McCorkle Avenue near downtown. Historically, until the 1960s, several daily Chesapeake and Ohio Railway trains traversed central West Virginia, making stops in Charleston. Destinations in the Midwest included St. Louis, Chicago, Detroit, and Louisville. To the east, the trains terminated in either Washington, D.C. or Newport News, Virginia. These featured the fast-flying Virginian, George Washington, and the Sportsman. Into the late 1940s, the New York Central Railroad operated passenger trains between Columbus, Ohio, and Charleston. River. Interstate 64 crosses the Kanawha River 4 times as it passes through the Charleston metropolitan area. The Elk River flows into the Kanawha River in downtown Charleston. Roads. Charleston is served by Interstate 64, Interstate 77, and Interstate 79. The West Virginia Turnpike's northern terminus is at the southeastern end of the city. 2 U.S. routes, US 60 and US 119, cut through the city center. US 21 and US 35 formerly ran through Charleston. WV 25, WV 61, WV 62, and WV 114 are all state highways that are within Charleston city limits. Mass transit. Charleston is served by Kanawha Valley Regional Transportation Authority. Taxi service. C&H Taxi services the Kanawha Valley. Uber and Lyft also service the area. Utilities. Electricity in Charleston is provided by Appalachian Power, a division of American Electric Power of Columbus, Ohio. Appalachian Power is headquartered in Charleston. Suddenlink Communications provides the Charleston area's cable TV. Landline phone service in Charleston is provided by Frontier Communications. The city's water supply is provided by Charleston-based West Virginia American Water, a subsidiary of American Water of Voorhees, N.J. The water that supplies Charleston is pumped from the Elk River and treated at the Kanawha Valley Water Treatment Plant. Charleston's natural gas is supplied by Mountaineer Gas, a division of Allegheny Energy of Greensburg, Pennsylvania. Sister city. Charleston's sister city is Banska Bystrica, Slovakia, 2009.